And so I'm going to go through, I want to welcome you first to this office hours where we're going to be talking about the Summer of CS, what the program is, what the offerings are, and how to get people registered. I have some slides. I'll have Glennon, my workmate, he'll put the link to the slides in the chat. So if you want to follow along, you're welcome to do that. So let me go ahead and we'll get started. And just so you know, everyone that's on the call, we are recording this because some people won't be able to make it. And we want to make sure that everybody gets the information that they need. So this is what we're going to cover in the time we have. I'm going to give you an overview of what is the Seasons of CS. And should you or people that you work with, should they participate? And then what is the Summer of CS and what are the offerings? And then I'll give you the registration information and some resource links. So first off, the Seasons of CS is a grant that this coalition of people came together, and this is how we are able to offer workshops around computer science to both educators, paraprofessionals, counselors, and administrators. And so you can see our logos here of the different people who are coming together to put together this Seasons of CS. It is a year-round offering. We just finished up Winter of CS workshops. There are some Spring of CS workshops, but the big number of offerings will be our Summer of CS workshops that will be offered in June and July. For those Summer of CS workshops, there will be stipends available for teachers and paraprofessionals. So we're really driven with the Seasons of CS to offer all students in California computer science education. And we know now that many students do get it and many don't. And so we want to make sure that not only that it's access for all of them, but also that it's rigorous and it's really high quality computer science education. And some people are probably like me. I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and I did eventually teach computer science to kindergartners. And I did not have computer science background. And so I thought, well, is this something I can do? And I can assure you that yes, you do not have to have computer science experience. You can be working with students K through 12. There are offerings for everyone. And I can speak from personal experience that it can be a really rewarding, fun thing for the person teaching it and for the students as well. Most of the workshops are going to be 3 or 5 day workshops. People can sign up for one workshop of their choosing. There's quite a number of offerings, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But not only is it the Summer of CS, like let's say I'm a kindergarten teacher, let's say I did a 3-day workshop. Not only am I going to that workshop, learning about the curriculum and understanding how I can bring that to my students for the next school year, but I also, at no cost, will get academic year support. So periodically throughout the year, I will be meeting up with my facilitator and being able to, the provider, and be able to get the support I need as I go just in time throughout the school year.
And Karen, if you advance to the next slide, the details of the academic year support are here. The dates for the weeks in which there will be academic year support. Over those weeks, it's about 6 hours, and there will be incentives again for the participating educators. The academic year support typically takes place in the late afternoon after school is out. It'll be a mix of some synchronous meetings and some asynchronous times to do some homework between sessions. And that'll get detailed more after somebody participates in a workshop. But the K-5 have 2 weeks and the 6-12 educators have 4 weeks where there's academic year workshops.
Oh, that's thank you so much, Glennon, for pointing that out. I think the beauty of this is that this is not one and done. You don't just come to a workshop in the summer and then okay, that was really cool, but now what do I do? There will be that support, and I think that really helps with the success of rolling out computer science in the classroom. And not only is there academic year support, but there's also virtual communities of practice. These will be virtual, and this is in collaboration with the California Science Teachers Association. And so you can see on this slide the 3 dates: October 12th, December 1st, and February 8th. So it's also a chance to build community, talk about problems of practice, talk about successes and maybe next steps. And again, classroom teachers and paraprofessionals will receive $50 per meeting for active participation in this. So there's a lot of touch points. You're not going to be left alone after the summer of CS. There's quite a variety of professional learning providers that we have. And I would like to show you what it looks like and what the different offerings are. So I've clicked on the link and I'm now at seasonsofcs.org, which is our website. And there's, as I mentioned, there's more than just Summer of CS, but we're only going to focus here on the Summer of CS. And as you scroll down, you'll see there's some filters here that you can use to be able to look at. There's like these cards, each representing a different workshop. And so although these all have the same title, you'll notice that they are offered in different locations. So some workshops are going to be offered in person, and the Bootstrap data science person will be there in this county office. That same workshop will be in person, where you could go to the Sacramento County Office of Education, and note where it says virtual provider. That means that people will be together in the county office learning together, but we will be streaming the provider that's in person themselves in this county office of education. So there's different ways to take these workshops. So if I scroll up again, some of them you'll see here in person at Santa Clara. This is in person at Riverside. This is in person with a virtual provider. Again, you're going to be in person with other people, but you'll be getting the stream of the provider themselves. So, and
we also have offerings that are completely virtual. So I want to make that clear to everyone. And as Karen goes through it, and you can filter by grade level and workshop name and format. Format is where you can select the different, whether it's in person or with a virtual provider. About half of the offerings are in person and half of them are about virtual. And then you can show how to filter in different ways, Karen, if you'd like.
So let's say I wanted to do an in-person workshop. That's just the way I want to learn. Let's say that I am a K-5 educator, and so I want to see what things there. And let's say, you know what, I really would like to have something that is the week of June 12th. So I can filter it because there's a lot of different workshop offerings, and then I can see, oh, you know what, maybe I live near the Monterey County Office of Education. I'd like to do it in person there. I can read a description of it. I can see the time that it is offered over for. This happens to be a 3-day workshop. And then at any time that I want to start to register, I can click register now, and it will take me to a registration form that goes through. This is the same information that's on the website, but if people just automatically get to the registration page we have here, where it talks about that additional support, just-in-time support, it's going to talk about the communities of practice, and it's going to, talk about the incentives for 6 hours per day for active participation. So as I fill this out, when I get down to the end of this, it's going to ask me, what grade level am I wanting to receive professional learning for? And so if I'm let's say I'm a principal, well, then I can choose administrator, and it will take me to a part of the form that only will show me offerings for principals. If I'm, let's say, a high school counselor, again, I can click on counselor and it will show me just those offerings. And we have it by these different grade bands. So by the time you get to this point, you're only going to see offerings that are just for you. The website gives you the workshop descriptions, but this will actually allow you to sign up for that one workshop that you were really wanting to take. And it will ask you if you would like to do this with a team member. And so you can put in there, let's say maybe there's 3 of you and you all want to do Summer of CS, and maybe you want to do the same session together. There's a place where you can put in, hey, I'm going to do it with these 2 people as well. And then we can contact them and say, Judy already signed up. And so you, Rod, if you'd like to sign up too, they've already signed up, you can register as well. So I'm going to go back to my slide deck, and the last day to register is May 10th. So that's a deadline. So I'm going to stop there and check for some questions, because I know that was a little bit drinking from the fire hose, but I wanted to be able to, you're welcome to come off mute if you like. There's a small group of us here, or you can put it in the chat.
I just had a couple questions, Karen. So that's great. So I saw the stipend is $175 per day, and they are mostly 3 to 5 day workshops. What would the kind of response be for teachers that say they couldn't make all 3 days, they could only make like 2? Is it kind of expected it should be a start to finish the full time?
Right. I think the provider, has planned out the 3 days. And so it's a pretty tight agenda. And so you are paid for per day of active participation. But if you were to get sick, things happen. But I would say don't sign up unless you absolutely are committed to doing that. And speaking of committing to wanting to do it, part of what we're going to be asking people as they register, we ask for their school leader, if they're at a school site, that person's name and email, because we have a school site agreement where we say, hey, I just want you to know there's no cost to the school for this, and there will be year-round support also at no cost. And that, we're really committed at the Seasons of CS to be sure that the teacher's getting, or the paraprofessional is getting really, excellent professional learning. And we just want to know that everybody's on board, that this is going to be coming to the school and to that classroom for the next school year.
Thank you. And then I was looking at most likely where I'm located at, the teachers probably would do virtual. Is there, and I've seen capacity, is there a capacity limit on that virtual where early registration would benefit them?
Yes, I would definitely register early, because with our contracts with all the different providers, they've given us how many people they can take care of and really be able to give the type of service they want to be able to during that workshop. So although like our Zoom could handle 500 people, the provider themselves likely would, let's say, for instance, have enough space for 36, because they're going to have to do that academic year support as well and do all the outreach. And they've got, sometimes they're shipping materials, if it's a robotics kind of thing. So there are limitations. So I would, although May 10th is the deadline, if it were me, I would register early to be sure you get that workshop you want, because we can't guarantee, we want everybody to get the workshop they want, but some workshops could end up becoming full.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. Are TOSAs and MTSS liaisons eligible for this, or is this specific just for classroom teachers?
If their classification is a teacher, so a teacher on special assignment, they're eligible.
So as you're absorbing this, for those of you still who have just come in, you're welcome to put a question in the chat, or I really have I have slides, but we've gone through the slides that I have, and I'm really just here to be available to you to answer any questions. So this isn't going to be a whole hour-long meeting for you. So you're going to get 45 minutes back in your day if you've got all the information you want. I'm going to put my contact information, if you will. I'm putting in seasonsofcs.org is our website, and
You can put the Seasons of CS at cdefoundation.org is a good email for people to reach out to you with questions. Tony, I see you have a hand raised. Do you want to come off mute?
Yes, please. I'm an instructional aide, but I do teach certain subjects, and so would this be available to myself?
Yeah, is your classification a paraprofessional?
That's the first time I've heard that term, but I considered myself to fall within that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I believe you're eligible.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's meant to be anyone that's working in classrooms with students. So instructional aides, everyone kind of classifies differently. The reason we're using the term paraprofessional is that was specifically woven into the Educator Workforce Investment Grant that is enabling this to happen, is for teachers and paraprofessionals.
Okay, I like the term. And also I did register for the GUTS, but upon registering, it showed the classes being offered, and that didn't come up.
the classes, you mean like the grade bands?
Well, no, the grade band did show up, but upon registering for that particular workshop, I didn't see it on the offerings when I signed up. I saw it when I was perusing the courses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in alphabetical order, so that's why I'm kind of quickly going through. So like there's a Project GUTS here that's virtual.
That's it.
And then you said when you clicked on registration, and then did you specify that you were a grade 6-8 when it asked you in the registration form, what grades are you wanting to receive professional learning for? If you choose 6-8, it will be listed because it's going to take you to a certain part of the registration form.
Okay, maybe that is the issue I'm having, because I do teach high school, but it's all ed. And I could see that I would be able to, glean some things out of the 6-8, because I do have to kind of knock it down a lot of my material.
Got it.
Sure. Yeah. So I think what happened, it sounds like, Tony, is that when you clicked for high school grades, Project GUTS doesn't show up because it's a middle school offering.
Right.
So if you go back to the registration form and click 6-8, it'll be there.
Okay, so I should just re-register with the grade level that's corresponds with that workshop.
If you've submitted a registration already, and you need to modify your registration, please email the request to modify to the seasonsofcs@cdefoundation.org email account, and we'll get you squared away.
Okay, great. I'm glad I attended this to ask.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so if you send it to anytime there's a modification for you or anyone else, that Seasons of CS at cdefoundation.org, we can help with anything, because we don't want you to have to go through the process again.
Thank you.
I have another question. You had mentioned earlier about the hours and that in between that there might be some like homework assignments. Do you care to speak a little bit more and give a little bit more explanation of what those expectations will be for those assignments?
Sure. So the hours of the workshops during the summer, there's not the expectation of homework assignments. but for the academic year workshops where there's 6 hours allotted during a given week, the providers are going to do a mix of maybe one day is a meeting in person, and the next day is an hour and a half where you have work time by yourself, followed by another day of being in person. You will be paid for all 6 hours of that academic year workshop, but they're going to mix it up. So because doing 4 afternoons from 4 to 5 or 4 to 5:30 is a lot. Synchronously, I should say. So they're going to try and mix it up, but we're going to compensate people for a total of 6 hours so that they can do some homework assignments in between. Or, what I say homework assignments, but it could be practical, go get some practical experience, try a tool, test something out. And then the next time they come back, they'll be able to explore that with the facilitator. Does that make sense?
And we aren't specifying here on the slide. I'm showing that some time will be synchronous, some will be asynchronous. It's not going to be written in stone right here because it depends on your workshop. And then it also depends on how are you doing teaching the class? Are you struggling with something and maybe you need to have the facilitator there, or maybe you want to try something again, like with your robotics. And it's like, you know what, today, instead of meeting with me synchronously, asynchronously, why don't you work on this thing with your robotics lesson? So it's going to be tailored to the type of workshop that you choose to take.
Hi, good afternoon. This is great. Thank you for having this meeting and the opportunity for us to be able to ask questions and learn more. In our district, I'm from a K-8 school district here in Southern California, and we're kind of resetting. We had been doing computer science and trying to do computer science immersion. We had a program at 2 elementary schools where we were off on a course. Pandemic hit, things just kind of fell by the wayside, new administrators, new personnel. So we're trying to reset and reboot a program. I'm thinking, do you recommend I'm a director at a district office and I'm overseeing helping the sites. The script PD, is that something what you would recommend to kind of get on that path? And one of the reasons I'm asking that too is because as I'm looking at the different choices, I see the different offerings under this Google CS or the like Project Guts or the C4, what was that other one for elementary? Those seem to be very explicit to curriculum, which I'm sure they're great, but we're sort of kind of piecemealing. Our goal is to try to create the concepts and by the standards and the framework across grade level spans so that we're choosing and selecting curriculum by either the components of computer science and connected to devices and so on that we already have. So we're trying to create sort of a scope and sequence so that we can brand what a school experience is like for computer science immersion. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around what's the best strategy. And I'm wondering if, I guess this would be the best place to start instead of going to one of the curriculum-based PDs. They send our principals or teachers.
Sure. So, I mean, the script is certainly intended more for administrator, higher level folk. It is in person in Santa Clara, so that is a consideration, and the incentive that we provide is still only $175 a day. So if that is a barrier to your participation, be aware that you would have to cover your own travel or use that funding accordingly. You are correct that many of the providers are connected with some form of curriculum. We feel that it's an important part to enable people to have the structure to then be able to implement if they are a classroom-based educator. The other place that you could look, if you're looking at a systems level, is at one of the administrator or counselor workshops. Would be another place for you to consider how to engage kind of systemically and where to go. Those would be the good places to look.
Yeah,
and Glennon, as you said that, I did pull up on the screen the CS Equity Workshop for school leaders. So that I think is specifically what you were mentioning about something that would be for administrators.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from sending you the principal and or either the TOSA on site who
Uh-huh.
are in charge of pretty much managing the computer science across the grade levels.
Yeah, so Script would be a good fit for those two, I think.
Mhm.
And I think you'll just have to be aware that from Southern California to go to Santa Clara, you're going to have to supplement some of the travel costs.
Yeah.
Because, but yes, that could be a good fit. Admittedly, Karen and I are not super experts on each of the specific workshops. So if you have more questions related to the specificity of Script or what's entailed, you're welcome to email that account and we'll get you some more specificity in terms of what's included.
Great.
And also to note that the curriculum info on the card, if you click on that, that will take you to the Script website that gives you a lot more information about the
saw that.
offering.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
And Glennon, I will mention that you and I with other, like last year with the seasons or the summer of CS, we see a lot of benefit in teams coming. So whether it's a team of 2 or a larger team, it does seem like that really strengthens the likelihood that things continue into the next school year because you've got each other for support and it's, building those relationships.
And that team could be an administrator, a counselor, and a teacher going to 3 separate things. That team could be 2 teachers from the same school going to the same exact thing. That could be 2 teachers from different schools within the same district, but they make a partnership and they help each other, and share experiences over the course of the school year. So the term team can be interpreted as, and as our friend here, Gerardo mentioned, it could be an administrator and a TOSA. So it's welcome in any sort of format that works for you. But we just know that when you have a partner, it benefits the experience.
And I'll just mention, it occurs to me, I think it might have been Justin when he first came in was saying, he wanted to learn more here and then be able to promote it to teachers in his area. We do have, if you needed like a flyer or something like that, that you wanted to be able to send out, or social media, you wanted to put something out, you could send that request to the Seasons of CS email, and we can send you links to things like that if that would be helpful to you as you were bringing people in.
Or certainly you're welcome to forward the email newsletter that you all probably received to get here today. So that's another way to share information.
Yes.
With that, I'm gonna, I think we're kind of at the conclusion here. I'm gonna pause the recording